And you hear the stories about how they have refrigerator trucks sitting outside of hospitals because they don't have enough room in the morgue.
Right.
All of that begins to just kind of pull at you, and creates this frenzy of emotions, man, in your life and in your family. And now you're worried, and now you're stressed, and now you're figuring this out, and the job is doing this over here, and and you can't get your unemployment benefits over here, and it was just a lot, man. It still is a lot.
It is a lot.
The initial onset of that thing, there was just so much uncertainty that I think people really didn't take into consideration the long-term effects that it was going to have on our just kind of mental capacity.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Deep MCs, the podcast that seeks to push meaningful conversation to a whole new level. Whether it's for your entertainment or your personal growth, we appreciate you being here today. And now, on to the show. What's going on, man?
Hey, man, how are you?
Doing pretty good. We almost botched the intro there, but it's it's okay. Learning, it's touch sensitive. Yeah. Learning experiences all around.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, before we really jump in anything, I just wanted to kind of give a shout out to a couple people, right? Here we are, we're episode 5, right. Here,
We're moving along.
So as you can tell, I'm wearing a new shirt today, from a podcast. It's West Virginia Uncommonplace. You can find him kind of everywhere, but he's been real good in supporting us, so big shout out to West Virginia Uncommonplace.
Yeah.
But also big shout out to Skip the Noise podcast. Skip the Noise has also been, Benji over there has been supporting us, so it's good to have them. It's good to have them.
We appreciate you. Thank you.
We appreciate them for sure, man.
Yeah.
So what are we jumping into today?
Man, we're coming back to some mental health thoughts. We did one podcast on mental health, but we think this may be an ongoing conversation that we continue to have, and it's just something that we definitely want to. In this day and age, man, a lot of people don't talk about it.
For sure.
We'll find ourselves kind of bottling it in and expecting it to work itself out.
Yeah.
But hopefully we can have again an open and honest conversation about it that may help somebody on the back end. Hopefully.
I mean, mental health, really. I mean, it's like you said, it's one of those things that we don't really talk about, and I think that we do need to have this as a continuous, ongoing thing. It's been very difficult on a lot of people, and I hate to keep saying it. I guess I hate to say because of COVID, because everybody's used that as an excuse, right?
Yeah, right.
I can't get help, because of COVID, or you don't understand, it's because of COVID, or I would, but because of COVID,
right.
And
right.
as we get to a point where we're coming out of this thing, and we're entering into that new world, whatever that new world looks like.
Yeah.
We have to drop that and kind of focus on making ourselves better and growing ourselves as a whole. And I think that the mental health aspect of that, I mean, we're all a little bit damaged, no matter where you are in that hierarchy, whether you were at the very top. I mean, yeah, you may have had a little less to worry about, right? You still had your mortgage and your home and everything else, but maybe that social aspect was missing, or whatever it is. So I think it's good, but I guess for today, I mean, I think we need to focus on, social media, entertainment, and how does that affect, and how did that affect us throughout that course of that year, or even, I mean, up to this point now.
Yeah, it's still an ongoing thing, man, because we were locked in, right? We were quarantined, right?
Yes.
And had to a lot of the information that we received came via social media, came via the news, and we were glued to it because we wanted to know, how is my life going to be affected? How is my life going to change? What am I safe? Am I not safe? What are all of those things? And all of that information, created an overload, I believe, in quite a few people.
For sure.
And created it began to chip away at kind of our mental stability in a lot of ways.
Right. And, like I said, even for me, the whole idea of this podcast, was almost kind of birthed out of that time too, right? Because,
right.
You saw a lot of the people and, that were dying because of the sicknesses or the sickness attributed to the reasons why they passed or whatever.
Man,
but
you've seen these numbers posted on a consistent basis, right?
Right.
And you hear the stories about how they have refrigerator trucks sitting outside of hospitals because they don't have enough room in the morgue.
Right.
Right. All of that begins to just kind of pull at you, and creates this frenzy of emotions, man, in your life and in your family. And now you're worried, and now you're stressed, and now you're figuring this out, and the job is doing this over here, and and you can't get your unemployment benefits over here, and it was just a lot, man. It still is a lot.
It is a lot.
Those are the initial onset of that thing. There was just so much uncertainty that I think people really didn't take into consideration the long-term effects that it was going to have on our just kind of mental capacity, man.
No, it is a drain, and but it's funny because it's not even, it's not funny. I say it's funny. I use that a lot. I kind of say my tagline, man, is either it's funny or I don't know. I use those as just fillers and it's just natural, but I don't know. But one of the other aspects of it too, which, you have that aspect of it, but even then, like, there's a whole nother realm that kind of wore on people. Like, you notice, like, for instance, like, people start digging into other people's lives, start looking at other people, they start seeing how they're living and what's going on and what are they doing through quarantine, and these people are getting in shape and these people are doing this and doing that, and even what does that do for you? And I guess for me, even if you take COVID out of the equation, there's still a heavy influence that social media or any advertising platform puts on people, almost unrealistic expectations for the majority. And how do they deal with that, right? Like, how do you deal with constantly having the best of the best of everything pushed into your face while you're suffering? Right.
For social media is an oxymoron because it's really not very social
at all.
At the end of the day, social media isn't social at all. It's a presentation of the best of your life to the world with expectations that they're gonna comment, like, and share it. Right. And you're gonna build a following of supporters based on you presenting the best of your life.
Exactly.
And so from the presenter standpoint, there's a level of stress that you have to create this content that is going to be accepted by people who really don't even care, right? And then from the people who are watching it, they're looking at it as if, dang, they are really doing it. So you have this clash of the titans, boom, happening right here before us, and none of it makes sense.
None of it makes sense, and honestly, none of it matters.
None of it's real at the end of the day.
It's not.
Some of it, you know what I'm saying? But 85% of it has been created out of the life we want to live, as opposed to the life that we currently live.
Exactly.
And I think if we were a lot more honest with social media, it would actually be something that could help. It has its moments, right? It has its. Hopefully, this podcast is one of those things.
one of those moments, right?
Right.
I agree.
Where we're not just presenting fluff, but hopefully here you'll hear something about these two young men sitting here at the table.
Right.
That is true. That is honest. That is worthwhile, and that'll help you move from one place to another in your life.
It's genuine, and that's the thing.
Yeah,
that's
it. That's
for me, even like I said, I'm not huge on social media.
Mm-hmm.
It's unfortunate. It is unfortunate that I have to adopt that in order to be able to do this, right? I have to take that on, and with that comes its own challenges. But you look through it, and people. I know that there's genuine people out there. We're genuine people, and we're trying to make content that really matters and that can help people. But you look at the ones that could quote unquote be genuine, and they have the least following. They have the least amount.
Right,
and it's funny because there's so many people out there that are struggling with real issues, that are struggling with real mental problems or stress or anxiety or depression or whatever the situation is, and they don't follow the areas where they need help. They latch on to the stuff that makes you more depressed or more anxious or more whatever, and it does become a situation where it's all about, I'm trying to get likes, or I'm trying to do this, I'm trying to do that. And you look at the content that's out there and you're thinking like, really, this is what has, and you take that, and it's really interesting to see just the involvement of people, the people that become that influence and that can change people's lives. They're not fully utilizing that platform,
right.
And I don't know why that is, and I question why that is, and it's easy to say, you're a celebrity, whatever, you can use your platform, whatever, but you had to do something to become that celebrity, I guess. You had to do something to become that influencer. But once you're there, what are you really doing? And it just seems like people are always selling. They're always trying to sell something, and I wish that there was a way to take that and transition it into something that will help the people, right? Because if you take someone out there that has a million followers or 2 million followers, some people out there have 20 million, 30 million followers, right? That's a lot of influence that you have over somebody, and everything that you do affects those people's lives, and you could put anything up there.
The conversations that you make, right? The comments that you make on somebody's picture, whatever it is, affects how they respond to it.
It does, and you have all that control, and we're using it to just pitch things, if you can post a picture of, I don't know, your tennis shoes or a sliced steak or a boba tea or whatever it is and get 150,000 likes, why not put something up there to give back, right? And we didn't see that, especially during the course of this last year. I mean, you had those every now and then, those people that would pirate, or fight for or latch on to whatever the current trending topic was because they didn't want to be left out of that growth or seem like they weren't there to support. But nobody really circled around. I don't want to say nobody because I'm not everybody and I didn't see everybody, but it didn't seem like there was a lot of people that were circling around and just doing the, hey, how are you? Hey, you guys out there, it's gonna be all right. Keep fighting.
There's a way, man, to create community in it, which is what I think we need, right? And not community that stirs a fire, but community that checks on the health and the well-being of the people that are connected, right?
Exactly.
When you have that level of influence, I think you have a responsibility, a moral responsibility, to assure that, or to even attempt to assure that your base of people are in a certain place. At least I would hope so. Everybody doesn't have that thought or doesn't have that desire. I get that. And we can't force anybody to do that, right? But at the end of the day, when we hit 20,000 followers, 30,000 followers, when we hit those numbers, it is my desire, my heart's desire, that we'll still be at a place where we put out content that deals with the heart, that deals with the mind, that deals with, how we going from A to B in this world that takes us from A to Z before we even know any of the steps, right?
Exactly.
So I mean, I think that's the thing, man. There's so much. I've seen so many things on social media, political, environmental, financial, right, that seem to just push someone's agenda as opposed to just the clear truth of it all. Give me the truth and then let me decide, right? As opposed to creating an agenda that you're using to further whatever it is that you want to further.
And that's what it seems to be, and you hit the nail on the head, right? It's the agenda of everyone, right? And even now, even in this little bit of like experience that I have with the platform of podcasting, right, and getting on like Instagram, you know, and you look on there, and it's a tool, and it's a tool that you can use. But what you usually see is the mass majority of people, they're following you because they want you to follow them. Yeah. That's going to grow them. They're going to like 100,000 posts or every post that you put up there to draw your attention because they want you to do that to them. And it's all about building that platform. Okay, well, once you build that platform, what are you going to do with it?
Yeah.
You know, what are you going to do with it? And I don't think that a lot of people have that answer. You know, I don't think a lot of people have that response. You know, they're out there, they're just trying to, again, push their product or sell their book or, you know, whatever, but no one's really having, I won't say no one, but a lot of people aren't having those deep conversations, and there's very few.
And if they are having those conversations, and it doesn't have the entertainment value necessary for you know, a lot of that following.
Right. No one wants to stick around there.
Right. You know, we sometimes, you know, within us, we just want to be with everything that's going on, right? The job is what it is. This is what it is. Sometimes I just want to be entertained, right?
Right.
And you know, and part of the reason I don't want to have a conversation about that, you know, I'm just going to shuffle this off anyway, right? And I'm just going to stack it up, and we don't deal with it until it falls apart. And we see life just starting to crumble before us. Now we want to deal with the mental health. Now we want to deal with the situations, right? But until then, you know, let me be entertained, right? Let me go to TikTok and look at the stuff that's really not giving me any value.
No value, no growth, no anything. And it is. And you think about it, and it's just funny because you look, and people are out there, right? Like you said, they're entertained until the other shoe drops, and then, you know, shit gets real, and the next thing you know, they're Googling for how do you deal with this?
Yeah.
How do you deal with that? Right. How do you deal
with anxiety?
Yeah, dealing with all these things.
What are the signs of depression?
You know, and this whole time, that's something that, you know, you could have been working towards, or could have been developing a better way of handling. You know, and it makes me wonder, you know, what can be done from that social media perspective, or from even that news perspective, or from, you know, any advertising perspective, to really help move that needle into a positive direction, right? Because now more than ever, I mean, you used to never really see anything, you know, even on TV and commercials, talking about anxiety or talking about mental health. And I don't know if that's just because we wanted to ignore it. I don't know if that's just because people were afraid. Like, no one should be a pioneer or be praised as being brave because they came out and they said they have problems. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that is, like, yes, that it does take guts to say, hey, I'm fucked up, I have problems, I need help. But it shouldn't take guts to do that. You know, people should be able to. But we created
that, though. We created the, you know, weakness is not a good trait to have, right? Vulnerability aren't good traits to have, right?
Right.
And so for you to exhibit those, even masculine vulnerability is as a carnal sin. You know what I'm saying? And it depends on how you grew up and all of those kind of things. I get that. But to be vulnerable, one, it takes a lot, you know, for you to do that, because you would have to have trust in the people that you're going to be, or situation that you're choosing to be vulnerable in. Right. And so without that trust, or that trust comes with its own level of baggage of previous experiences, right?
That's true.
And because we didn't deal with the mental issues in those experiences, now we're just at this place where, you know, I'm good. I'm good. Everything's good. Everything's great. Life is wonderful. And on the inside, you're crumbling, right? On the inside, it's the biggest bomb has been dropped on the inside, and you just don't know how to contain it. And then it begins to come across in other areas. It comes across in anger. It comes across in disconnecting from people, you know, and all of those things. And we hadn't dealt with the mental issue on the backside, man. So, I mean, you asked the question, what can be done? First, I think is for the person who know, being honest with themselves and saying, man, I need some help. I need some help. And, the latest, dance battle on TikTok is not going to help me.
It's not going to make it.
It's funny. It's exciting. It's a joke, but
right.
It's not helping me.
Right. And I think that's the key, right? And but I also question is, do a lot of these people even know I don't know if subliminal is the right word, but are they even consciously aware of what's happening to them when they're on those platforms, whether it's a Facebook or an Instagram or whatever, the TikTok or whatever it is, right? Like if you're at home or you're working from home or you have your free time or you're tired of your job and you're sitting there and you're constantly just scrolling through looking, and you're seeing all this success and you're seeing these good looking people and you're seeing these parties and you're seeing the frivolous spending of money and all this stuff that you think you want, right? You think you want. Are the people aware of what that's doing to them subconsciously? Because you're always, everybody's their own worst critic, and you're always judging yourself, almost honestly based upon what others have and do.
You're
right?
using them as the measuring stick.
Yeah, they're the measuring stick, and you're basing yourself against those people. And when you see that, you're following what you like, mm-hmm. you're following what you want, mm-hmm. right? And you follow more people that you like and want than you follow people that you interact with on a regular day, mm-hmm. and you're seeing and you're helping them become more successful by looking, subscribing, liking, whatever. And as you watch this, I don't think people are even aware that it's tearing them down, that it's making this unrealistic goal in their mind. I don't think they realize that it's happening to them while they're doing that. It's
happening subconsciously, man, because I think we're doing these things. We like you said, we're scrolling, right? And for a whole year, we had nothing but time.
Oh, too much time.
Too much time, right? We had nothing but time to scroll,
right?
To swipe left, right? and just keep going and keep going and keep going, and picture after picture after picture. And I know, I'm not the best selfie taker, right? Nobody really calls on me to take the selfie. It's because I don't come at the right angle, and I'm not catching the right light.
The light,
and I'm not, because if you come up higher, then it looks slimmer, and all of these kind of things, right? And we take 10 of them to make sure we get the perfect one. The right one, and that's the one we post. But we don't post the other 10 that shows you my gut, that shows that
the wrinkles,
that shows all of those kind of things, and then I drop a filter on it, that even takes care of those wrinkles. And I present myself in a way that makes me feel that there's a level of perfection there.
Right.
And when you see it, you see the perfected version of me.
Right.
As opposed to the wrinkles and the gut and the 20 pounds I put on during COVID. Right. Because I was stressed out, and because and so I'm using those pictures to make me feel better about myself.
Yeah.
I'm presenting that because I want to see the likes, shares, and comments from my perspective. And then you see it and you're like, dang, they doing good.
Right. They're living the dream.
It's a vicious cycle.
It's a terrible cycle, man. And what you said a word there that is just, for lack of words, perfect, and the word was perfect, right? And it's people's perception of what is perfect, right? You saying you have these filters and you do this and you do that and whatever, and you get it to where it's perfect. And everybody wants to say that this is perfect. And perfect, for me, I always tell people, like, perfection is in the imperfection, right? That's where the perfection really lies, because everything has a story, every wrinkle, every scar, every cut.
Man. That's good. And
people don't think about that, and they want to take all of that away. They want to take away that experience, when you have, and you talk to people and they say, this person is so experienced, this person is so whatever, the wise old man or the wise old lady, that person is not picturesque perfect.
Yeah.
You get the experience by going through the hell. You get the experience by, having the scars and having the war wounds and having done it and failed, right? And that's as working your way towards perfection. And the people that are doing these filters and the downlighting, because I gotta look big and I gotta look muscular, and you can tell there's about 3 Instagram girl poses and they all do the same thing because it is what it is. And those things, like, it does change the people's viewpoints and what they think is perfect, right? And that's not what it is. And people have to start focusing and understanding that perfection is imperfection.
Man, that man is kind of the exclamation point of this one, right? Like, simple but profound in its revelation, man. Because if the perfection is in the imperfection, it's those flaws that you show. I've learned more from my own failures than I have from any. The failures created the successes at the end of the day.
Right. That's what it is.
Because I was able to learn from them, right? I was able to pull from them. And then you sharing an experience of where you weren't at the top of your game helps me to realize that I'm not in this boat by myself, right?
Right.
That helps me to realize that I'm not on this island out here secluded, that there is somebody else. Not that I'm joying in you going through something, but it helps me to know that, in me striving for greater, in me striving for better, that if he was able to do it and he's showing me the steps that he was able to kind of accomplish, then maybe if I take some of those steps, apply some of those steps to my own life, then maybe I can get some similar success, right?
Right.
Maybe I can just be one step ahead of where I was yesterday. And that's success, right?
Right.
That's going to help my mental capacity. That's going to help my mental state, because I'll see growth and I'll see development, and I won't just be so consumed with my current situation.
I agree, and that's what it is. And I think that, not that I don't think it'll ever actually happen, but I would hope that at some point, somebody out there, somebody who has a platform, actually uses that platform to start projecting those imperfections, dude, that starts projecting that regular routine, right? Because everybody has a routine. Everybody does, everybody has something that they do. Everybody has the real daily parts of life, right? And the thing about it is, like you said, when you're on those platforms, whatever platform it is, if it's Pinterest, right, it's the quote unquote perfect room or perfect this or perfect car. If it's Instagram, it's the snippet, right? Yeah, the food is beautiful when it comes out, or this is the perfect shot, or whatever it is, right? Look at me and my biggest smile, if you don't see the regular part of people's days, right? You don't see the, man, I just had chronic diarrhea, from
Come on, man.
but that's the truth, right? That you don't see that stuff,
right?
And no one is taking those regular parts of the day, because you end up creating fictitious people, fictitious events. And whenever people talk, they want to talk about the coolest thing that happened, or the biggest thing that happened, or whatever the case is. And no one realizes that that's not reality, right? Like, that person that they're on in that moment, but that person can't maintain that level of on, right? It's not possible. And I remember, like, I was watching oh man, I can't remember the documentary, but basically what it was it kind of it followed around this guy. Shoot, I wish I could remember his name, but he was the quote unquote party guy.
Okay.
He was the party guy, right? And he was known for having the huge parties and just going all out and going hard all the time, and
right.
But then you saw the after, the private part, and how miserable he was, because he's like, man, I can't maintain this. I feel like shit. Like, this is just not what I want to do, but this is how people know me. And then that becomes what you have to constantly.
He continually had to do that, right? Because it's life. his life had been built that way, you know, and he had probably his entire existence or identity was tied into that one thing, not knowing that there were so many other things that he was, right?
Right.
And so when you focus solely on this persona that you've created, right? And then now you have to put all of this energy into maintaining that persona, you end up becoming somebody that you're not.
Exactly. And I think that people are doing that, you know, more and more, you know, as time goes by, and, you know, they're doing everything now for a like, for, you know, a subscribe, for this, for that, because they feel that that is what's needed. And no one, I don't want to say no one, I'm sure there's probably out there, but the mass majority of people aren't just doing something because they feel that's what they should be doing, right? That, like, in their heart, right? They're doing it because they know that, oh, if I do this, right, you know, eating Tide Pods, right? That's not because, you know what I'm saying? Like that, or what is it when they're doing this cinnamon challenge or whatever? Like, that wasn't because you were trying to help people or you felt that was the right thing to do, right? But people see that, they want to emulate. They say, this person's doing it, they're seeing success, right, you know, whatever. Right. I like people that are out there and just presenting their true selves, whatever it is, and it's not going to be perfect all the time. And you know what? That may mean that you don't have, you know, a million likes, you know, or whatever it is, right, but you the people that are there because they believe in you and they see that you're being genuine, right? Yeah. And it's weird. One of the things that I saw recently, not too long ago, but it's a transition to the real world, in the sense that there was a company, I forget whatever the reason, I'm not gonna jump too much in the story, but they were selling a product, and they made some decisions to back, you know, a certain group of people, and it wasn't favorable, and then it became, oh, we're gonna boycott this business because, you know, they were being a little too progressive. Okay, right? You know what I'm saying? And what happens is they started to lose their initial business, but then it became this big news, and next thing you know, you have a line of people around the block to support the business. Got it. Right? Mm-hmm. So here are some people that were doing something that they believed in. They were trying to be genuine. They were trying to put something good into the world. They were penalized for it. But then at the end of the day, people came out the woodwork to support them, right? And now they're doing better than ever. Why can't the same be said for social media, right? Why can't you put yourself out there, be genuine, do something that's good, but if for whatever reason it doesn't translate, right? So people can pick up on it in real life that, you know, this is something that I can get behind. But whenever it comes to a digital form of that support, we usually support foolishness or ignorance or whatever is there.
So, man, the thing is that all of the information that we're talking about, good, bad, or indifferent, is all out there, right? It's just there's something about our search that is going to find it, right? And even and I say that is because everything is built on analytics, right?
Of course.
We even looked at ours, right?
Yes.
We looked at our analytics, and we wanted to gauge who's watching, what they're watching, you know, what content is making the most kind of movement. And every time we go on social media and we look at a certain type of video, then what's going to be shown in our feed is that same type of information, right? Because now I'm being entertained. The idea is to bring you back day after day, moment after moment, and bring you back. And so if you show interest in this type of information, then that type of information is what's going to be presented.
Of course.
Right? I was watching, there was one time, probably a month or so during COVID, where I was into MMA. You're right. Right. The fighting. Because I just needed to see something, right?
Right.
And literally, anytime I would scroll, it didn't matter what I was on. If I was in my Gmail account, there would be an ad that would pop up. If I was over here in Facebook, boom, the next thing would pop up. Check on Instagram, something would pop up, right? And so everything that I was looking for, you know, that I searched for, would show up across all of these platforms. jobs.
It became your life.
It became my life, right? So if I seek out something, right, social media or in person, if I seek it out, there are things that will bring that to my life.
Right.
And so if I'm looking for something that is going to change my mental state, then sometimes I have to change what I'm looking for.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
I have to begin to look for something that is actually going to help me and not just entertain, not pacify me for the moment. But if I want the help, I have to go looking for the help. And then when I go looking for the help, social media is great because it's going to bring things, it's going to funnel stuff to me.
Exactly.
Based on that search.
Exactly.
Right? And so we have to use the monster, we have to use its own analytics against itself to help us and not hinder us.
Exactly. And I think that is a huge thing, and that's what everybody should start doing, right? People always talk about, I want to make this improvement in my life. I want to be able to change this aspect of me or whatever it is. Well, one of the number one things you can do is you can start changing that search.
Yes.
Right.
Right.
You can start changing how you decide to go about things, how you decide to look for things, and change those small interactions. You know, you don't have to go and make this gigantic leap and completely turn around your entire life, because that's you're not going to stay that path. People that usually just jump straight in aren't able to maintain because it's too much at one time.
Yeah.
But you can start to try to unprogram yourself, from what it normally is. You know, you see the people, a lot of the people that are in the world of social media and have worked for some of these larger companies, you talk to them or you hear them interview, like they don't even let their own children on there, right? Because it's easy to go down the rabbit hole and get stuck in something negative or get stuck in something that gives you an unrealistic expectation of what you should be, right? And you see it in these young kids, that get depressed and take their lives, children, because they're not this person, or they're getting bullied online, or whatever the case is. And it is so sad because these people have no idea what life is or how great life can be. Your whole life is based off of someone who you're probably never going to meet, who really has no influence over your life, but yet holds all the cards to how you feel about yourself or how you feel your life should be. And that's not okay.
We said it in a previous segment, man. Sometimes we give value to things that aren't valuable, right? And sometimes those conversations, those individuals, those influencers really retain no value, long-term value for assisting you to the next level. They're just entertainment. Right. But if we give them more than that, now they become an influence. Right?
Yes.
And so in those moments, we make gods out of some things. Right. And we begin to worship the things that they say and worship the things that they do. And they can't, we saw a lot of that, this year in 2020 with the elections and all of those things. Right. And it didn't matter what side of the fence you were on. Everybody went to their sides and stayed there, and didn't use some just clear mental thought sometimes about, that doesn't make sense
at all.
That doesn't make sense.
That doesn't make sense either.
None of this makes sense when it's all said and done. But we want to lock into something that feeds our own current level, as opposed to being open-minded to seeing something different. And until we're open-minded to seeing something different, even in our mental state, even in our mental walk, we'll continue doing the same thing the same way. And that's insanity.
It is,
with the expectation for getting a different result. That's crazy. Right?
It is, and that's where you're right. There has to be change, right? You get comfortable in your area, you get comfortable where you are, and I think that also, that's not willing to change or do things different. That does actually play into your own personal mental health and well-being, right? Because a lot of people, like I said, they do get comfortable, and when they get set in the way things are supposed to be, and you're being constantly fed this 24-hour cycle of whatever it is, because you can pick up your phone at any point in time and you're gonna pick up scrolling the same BS that you were looking at before.
So I sat in line at Academy for an hour before Academy opened I wanted to go in and buy some fishing lures. Everybody in front of me was at Academy
on the phones,
scrolling through, looking for bullets. Right. Walked into the store, and there's this beeline, almost this race, this mad dash to the gun section. Get over there, and they don't have any of the bullets that anybody's looking for. So now people are running out of there to get to the next place. All of that frenzy is created by what they're watching, about what's going on, about the presentation that has been laid out before them, right?
Exactly.
And that creates a level of anxiety and stress and worry and fear. And all of those combined creates this dynamic that then will run you crazy over a bullet that you can't find.
Over a bullet.
A pack of $10, $15, $25 bullets. You can't secure them because something told you that the world is about to end and you need to be prepared.
You better get it.
And you better get it. You better stockpile it because your house is going to be taken from you. And now here you have, you're stressed out. You're worried. You can't even focus because you're trying to be at Academy at 6 a.m. and with a tent to be the first in line to get the next set of 9mm bullets.
Yeah, to get a pack of bullets, man. But that's the truth, right? And you see it everywhere. You saw it with bullets, with toilet paper. With water. You know
what? But somebody says I did hear something on a podcast, and they said the reason people are hoarding these things is for a moment of control.
Right.
When everything is out of control, they look for something that they can control.
Right.
And having toilet paper, how crazy it may seem in laughing and about, and all of those kind of things now, having enough toilet paper, not running out of toilet paper was something I could control.
They could control it. I mean, it makes sense, man. That at the end of the day, that's I feel like that's what everybody wants. Everybody wants to be able to feel that they have control over their life, But the thing about it is, why do you think that they don't feel they have control, right? Because they're searching for control, which means that they feel that they don't have control. And why is that? And not just in that current situation, in any situation really. Like, everybody has control of their life. Everybody has control of their self-esteem, right? Everybody has control of how they react. Now, granted the fact, not everybody starts from the same level because of the past, whatever it is, mental, physical, racial, whatever it is. But at the end of the day, you still can make the best with what you have, and you have that control. So why do you think it is that, people feel that I need to latch onto something, I need to feel like I have something? Like you do have something.
Again, it's another thing that we've put more value on the thing than we do on our own kind of mental stability, right?
Right.
And we're utilizing that thing to help convince me that I'm okay, or that I'm going to be okay. Because in a world of uncertainty, we look for clues, we look for reasoning, we look for opportunities that will help us to say, you know what, I'm okay. Right. And sometimes the answer is not in the stuff, but it's in the actually dealing with the issue head on.
Right.
Because once the toilet paper runs out, we still have the anxiety, we still have the fear, we still have the doubts that help to fuel toilet paper as the reasoning why, or toilet paper as the solution rather. Right. So if we never go back to the root of those things, right? And this is where I say to a lot of people, if you need help, get help, right? There's nothing wrong with talking to a counselor, talking to a therapist, talking to somebody who can help you reason through these situations so that you can be better on the back end of it.
Exactly.
Right? And if we're not seeking those things out and trying to do it within ourselves, then we have to go back to what's the root of it. What's causing me to fear like this? What's causing me to have this anxiety? What's causing me to look to social media for an influencer for my life that's really not giving me any information, but it's just giving me something to appease my stress right now, you know?
Yeah.
And if we never go back there, then we live our lives in a filtered presentation of ourselves to the world.
Right. And you said a couple things, and it kind of just branches off into two different areas or two different avenues. But the first that you said was putting value in a thing, right? Putting value in an object or an item. And it's funny because even as you're thinking of that, like it's unfortunate, or maybe it's fortunate, I don't know, maybe putting value in that thing, that's because of these now social media. Before it was advertising, but now it's social media, right? Because what the value that's placed in, that toilet paper or the pair of sneakers or the pair of whatever, why do people want those things? Because they saw someone, most times they saw someone online with it.
Yeah.
Right. They saw someone say, hey, this is what you want.
Right.
Or they saw someone out who had it, but that person probably saw it from right. So
the influencers,
right? So at the end of the day, the hype or the value that we're putting in these things, it becomes traced back to what we're spending our time doing.
I saw something, not to disrupt you.
No,
I saw a ad. It was an ad about something, and it was Meghan Markle, right? The royal.
Right.
And she had, you probably saw this much of her outfit.
Right.
They said that within 24 hours, whatever that dress was gone and on back order. You couldn't even see the whole thing, right? But the portion of it that you saw was enough for people to assume that it had a value.
Right.
And they associated it with royalty, so much so that it sold out within 24 hours.
Right.
Now that dress had probably been on the rack for
ever.
Probably been in her closet for a minute. And because she decided to wear it in this moment with the influence that she had, people went out and bought it in droves.
Right.
And what else are we buying in droves that's not going to benefit us at the end of the day, but simply because that person has it on, or that person said it, or that person is doing it, that I assume that the value of it is royal.
Right. I mean, but that's the truth, man. And whether it's a royal or an influencer in general, like it makes me wonder, and I've always questioned, why these people follow blindly these other people that they have never met or never interacted with, or whatever the situation is. And everybody, well, not everybody, a large majority of them are going to think that, oh, I'm original, I'm my own person, I'm this whatever. But as soon as they see something like that, right, you flock to buy something because this person has it. You flock to buy something because this person says it. And I don't think anybody questions themselves as to why, right? Mm-hmm. And it sounds dumb. This is going to be the biggest exaggeration, is whatever it is, right? But you take somebody, and for me, I'll just use me for right now in this example. This thing could blow up and become the most successful podcast on the planet, right? Mm-hmm. And I can come on one day with a tinfoil hat on, right? And say, this is the new shit. Tinfoil hats is where it's at. Right. And next thing you know, people are going to be wearing tinfoil hats.
Yeah.
And they don't know why.
They don't know why.
It's the dumbest thing ever, right? And who's to say that the people on the other side aren't doing it just to see what they can get away with doing, right? We put trust in people, and that's the thing, is we won't trust the ones that really genuinely love us or that are genuinely trying to help us get through whatever it is, but we put blind trust into people on the internet who we don't even know.
You've never even met.
You don't know what their logic is. You don't know what, they're going to say or what they're going to do. You look at a person like, and I hate to say this, and this may get a lot of hate, I don't care, but look at like Kanye West, right? Kanye, I like early Kanye. He made great music, right? But at some point, somebody decided he was a genius, a creative, whatever, visionary. He started to believe it. Obviously, the man's got problems, especially as you look through his life, whether it's, his relationships or the situation with his mother or whatever. And his cries out for social media on help, no one cares about me, whatever, right? There's obviously call signs out there that something's not right. And hopefully he's getting help, and hopefully he's finding himself in a better place. But whatever the situation is, whatever he does is hot. And I don't know if you've seen some of the stuff, like some of the shoes he's putting out, or his collaborations for clothing, or whatever the situation is. Some stuff is nice, yeah, don't get me wrong, but a large portion of it, I'm like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But people are still going to,
they're flocking
because he said so, or someone they like said this man is brilliant. And not saying that he's not, but you don't know, if you don't hang out with them on a regular basis, right? You don't hang out with that person that has 10 million followers on a regular basis. And we're just gonna put so much blind trust, right? And that's how people get taken advantage of, right? You look at your Bernie Madoffs and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
You put so much trust in this person you don't really interact with,
right? And
you don't know what's on the backside of that fire festival. Right. You know what I'm saying? But you only hear about the bad that really completely falls apart. But you don't know what the motives are. You don't know, if I have 10 million followers, you don't know that someone just gave me $100 million just to say that this is the greatest product on the planet.
Right. Right. To use your influence.
Exactly. Why?
Yeah.
Why as people do we latch on and trust who we never met, but push away the ones that are there every day?
Yeah, you just asked me a question that stumped me, dude. I mean, because we do it, man, unconscious. Maybe some of it is unconscious too, right? And maybe it's too familiar. Right. Maybe this person knows too much about me, and can call me on my BS, right?
Right.
Who really knows, what happened, and the situation around it. And maybe I'm not really ready to deal with that. I'd rather live over here in this kind of process. I'd rather, create this dynamic for myself rather than actually sit down and kind of go through what this really is, right? And get to the root of it, because this is going to take some energy. This is going to take some time. This may even take some forgiveness, right? It may even, it's going to take a little something for me to get to a place of healing over here.
Right.
And that I may just not have the energy to really be able to face right now. So let me go over here and buy this new pair of shoes.
New pair of shoes, right?
Yeah,
man.
It's a lot, bro. Honestly, man, it's a lot to be able to kind of sift through. We're just kind of glazing over the surface of it, because there's so many different avenues. There's so many different parts to this thing. We just they DMX, committing suicide, right? Unfortunate, right? And we celebrate his music, and we talk about how great he was as an artist, but there was clearly something going on in the mental area that he couldn't resolve, right? And so how many of us today You know, and so we see him on social media and we're hype about his music and we see all of those kind of things. But how many of us sit in those seats, right? Where we make a presentation. Sometimes we may cry out a bit, you know, but nobody sees it. So we go back to what we were doing, how we were doing it, because this is the only way people accept me. You know, this is the way, only way I can get along.
Right.
And we find ourselves in a miserable place because we're not able to be honest. And then if we are honest, there's nobody there to be able to help us walk the process out.
Right.
It's because we hadn't surrounded ourselves sometimes with those people who care enough to do it. You know, and hopefully this is, if nothing else out of this conversation, hopefully is about changing the narrative of that. Surrounding yourself, even through social media, even through your circle of influence, with individuals who have the capacity to be able to help walk you into the next season of your life whole, as opposed to the version of you that they want.
Right.
Can they walk with you into the version that's going to change and may not be what they used to be to you?
Exactly, man. I think that's good, man, and I think that we should leave it. We should leave it on that. Leave people with a little something to think about. I mean, like I said, this mental health thing is something that this is the second of many more to come. So, you know, we'll leave people out there just with the thoughts and thinking about their friends and who they have around them, and are those the right people? Do you have the right people around you to help you get to where you need to be and get to where you want to go?
Yeah. And what are you searching for when you're looking on social media, right?
Exactly.
Not physically as well as mentally. What are you searching for, right? And
exactly.
Because anything you search for, you'll find.
I like it, man. I like it. Let's leave it right here. Let's get out of here and end this one.
All right.
Yeah. I'm ready to play now. Put me in the game now. I came here to prove it. I'm ready to do it. I can't be afraid now. Put me on the stage.